In this video, we'll be going over the Desmos test mode calculator and some of the basic functions you'll need to start the year. There are many videos out there that go over Desmos's calculator features, so we'll only be covering a small amount in this video. First thing we'll need to do is open up the Desmos test mode application by selecting the blue icon with the test mode and Desmos shield on it. Once we're in here, the first thing we'll need to do is choose our assessment. We'll select that option and select the Texas star. In this video, we'll be reviewing the graphing calculator, so we'll look at our third option. If you were starting a test, you would select the Start Test button, but if you're at home using the calculator, we're just going to use the Start Practice. This is going to make sure that we have all the same features available to us that we would have if we were taking the STAR test. So, the Desmos calculator. It looks a little bit different than what you might be used to, but it functions in a very similar way. I can use it to calculate the value of simple expressions, like 12 plus 3. Now notice, I don't have to press equal or enter to get my answer in Desmos. It automatically gives me equals 15 and tells me the value of my expression. I can continue to add to my expression, times 8 minus 2. In Desmos, we'll continually adjust the value of the expression. Desmos is also good at following the order of operations. So if I type in 3 times 7 plus 5, it's going to multiply the 3 times 7 and then add the 5. But I can come in, add parentheses, and now my value changes as we add 7 plus 5 first and then multiply times 3. Desmos also understands when we're using a minus sign and when we're using a negative. So if I use 4 minus negative 3, it knows that I'm subtracting negative 3 and it says it's equal to 7. But if we're using it, it might be helpful to throw those parentheses in there and separate these integers so we can be clear of what's going on for our sake. Desmos also can use decimals. So if I do 3 and 5/10 times 7, I see that it evaluates to 24 and 5/10. Now, if you'll notice on this row, I have a new icon that appeared on the left. It's a circle with what appears to be a fraction on the inside. By selecting that option, I can now see my answer in fraction form. So I can toggle on and off the fraction and decimal view of my evaluated answer. Speaking of fractions, I'm going to clear these expressions by selecting the X in the top right corner. Let's go ahead and enter some fractions in. What if we want to enter the fraction 2/3? Well, all I do is press 2 divided by 3. And Desmos is automatically going to treat that fraction as a division problem and give me my evaluated expression. Again, just like with the decimal, I can click the fraction icon next to it and I can see it again written as a fraction. What if I wanted to perform some operations with fractions? Let's say I wanted to do 1/2, 1 divided by 2, plus 3, plus, notice that Desmos continued to write the expression in the denominator. When I want to perform an operation with a fraction, I need to do one of two things. I can tap the screen to the right of my fraction so that my cursor jumps out of the denominator, or I can use the right arrow underneath functions to move and cursor over and get out. And now I can continue my expression, 1/2 plus 3. Along with doing fractions, our Desmos calculator can also perform exponents. Let's say I wanted to square a number or raise it to the second power. I can type in 5. Then if I look next to the Y on the left side of my keyboard, I can press A to the second power, or A squared, not A to the 22nd power, and I can see that 5 squared is 25. What if I didn't want to do squared? What if I wanted to do 5 to the 5th power? Well, I type my 5, and I use the A to the B button right next to the A squared button, and that will move my cursor into the exponent field where I can type in my exponent of 5 or maybe 55, which gets very large. and I can make that exponent whatever I'd like it to be. 5 to the 5th power is equal to 3,125. Along with exponents, there may be times when you need to find the root of a number, and we may need to square root it. There's two different ways we can do this. Next to the ABC, you'll see the square root radical. It's right in between the pi and the ABC. I can press that and then type in the number I want to find the root of. Or I can press the ABC to pull up my keyboard, and if I type in SQRT, it will automatically convert that to a square root radical. Now I can return to the numbers and put in the number I need to find the square root of. So typing the SQRT may be a little bit easier if you're working on a computer. So for the iPad, the simplest way is to use our square root radical button. A couple more things before we wrap up. The question mark in the top right corner next to done. If we select this, if we were in test mode, it would show us how long we had been in test mode. But the big thing I want to draw your attention to is the keyboard shortcuts. By pressing this, we can see many of the shortcuts and many of the things we've talked about in this video, along with lots of other ways to do mathematics in the Desmos calculator. Once you're done, you can select the Done option to return to the main menu, and from there you can exit the application. Again, we've only covered a few of the features that the Desmos graphing calculator can do, but if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask your teacher.